And today's topic for Ramble Rouser is whatever this is. Oh, okay. Now this isn't a well, it's a serious one, but it's not like hard to talk about. Serious. Well, I mean, kind of. We'll just they them pronouns. Okay, so yeah, this one's it's serious. Like obviously it's important, but it's not one of those that's like so like it's not like talking about war or stuff like that where it's like, oh, it really gets like your blood boiling, it really gets you hyper focused. It's something a little nicer to talk about, but still important. So anyway, they them pronouns. In this world, simply put, there are people who use they them pronouns. Um, Instead of he, him, or she, her. It's people who use it usually don't identify as male or female. They identify as non-binary or non-binary is basically the umbrella term. There's a lot of other terms as well, such as agender and whatnot. Um, and there's some people who even identify using multiple sets of pronouns. Like someone may like identify as he, him, and they, them, and it's like you can refer to them as either, but they might prefer one over the other still. And one of the big things with they them pronouns is the question of how hard is it to get it down, because we've grown up, let's be honest, we grew up in a world where it's not that they them people didn't exist, they very much did, they always did, and they are perfectly real and have been forever. um but in the world we grew up in, it wasn't acknowledged. Like we didn't teach this. Like the way we grew up with media, with schooling, with everything we were taught there is male and female, and we know now that that's wrong. That it's much more complicated than that. Um but that is what we were taught. It's what a lot of the world recognized. And so a lot of times when like we meet a new friend or have a friend already or even a family member who comes out as non-binary and asks to be referred to with the pronouns of they them, um, it might be a little difficult for us just to get that down right away. We might even mess up at times. Um, but I feel like, and I don't know from their experiences because I'm not non-binary myself. I don't know from their experiences, but from my experience, like as a trans woman, I know like if someone accidentally calls me, uses he, him pronouns or whatnot, as long as it's clearly not intentional or if they even uh, correct themselves after, especially, then I know it's not that big a deal because it's like they didn't mean to do it. It's not like someone doing it specifically to like get back at me or to hurt me or to just force their ideals on me. And I feel like I feel like it would probably be the same, but again, I can't say that for sure because I'm not in their shoes. Um, but it's like as long as it's clearly a mistake and you correct yourself and everything, then you should be fine. And it's going to be hard with again the way we were raised, the way we were taught, and everything to get that right away. The most we can do is try, and we have to keep trying. We have to keep doing that for their sake, because if we just choose to ignore that and choose to just use he, him, or she, her pronouns for them, all it's going to do is hurt them. And that's not okay. We shouldn't be doing that. And I have friends. I have friends who do go by they them, and I admit I have trouble with this sometimes. But I always correct myself when I realize I've made the mistake, and I always try my best to make sure that I don't make the mistake in the first place. But it's hard. It's hard for me to grasp onto it sometimes. It is. I admit that, but I'm working to try and make it less hard. Um, it's something that we have to get used to in this world, especially as this world progresses and our culture and society get more advanced with all of that kind of stuff with the LGBTQ plus community. Because we have to make sure that these people feel just as welcome and important and loved as anyone else. We have to make sure that they feel that, and the best way to do so is by addressing them in the way they should be addressed, with the names they choose, with the pronouns they go by. It's as simple as that. And again, some people will go by multiple sets of pronouns. If someone goes by they, them, or he, him, then you can refer to both, to either of those. So you can use either of those sets of pronouns. And if they prefer one over the other, it's just, at least I try to go with the preferred one a lot of the time. I just feel like it's something that, since we were not taught it as kids, since it did since it was something that we were kind of just conditioned, you could say, against, um it's something that we do have to work towards. Because like I'm 28 years old, and it's like it's hard for me when I lived a good portion of my life not even realizing, not even knowing that there were people who use they them pronouns. So I have to make sure to try and condition myself to accept that more easily, for it to be more natural. And an easy way we can do this as well is by teaching our kids. Like when we have kids, if we start to teach them that stuff, it will help us as well. It'll help us become more used to it by helping the next generation become more used to it. I think that's going to be one of our best tools for helping with both ourselves and others. It's still going to be tricky. It's still going to be tricky, and we will probably still mess up no matter what. It's probably going to happen, but we just have to make sure that when we do, we correct ourselves, we apologize, and we make sure to get it right after that. Um, and obviously, it's like if you don't know someone goes by they them pronouns, like obviously then it's not going to be as bad. But like once they tell you, that's when you have to start listening. That's when you have to start adjusting as much as you can and as quick as you can. Because again, it's the, using the wrong pronouns for them is the same thing as using the wrong pronouns for a trans woman or a trans man or dead naming someone. It's the same kind of thing. It hurts. It causes deep emotional pain to these people. And you have to realize that when it hurts them, it can do really long lasting damage. And it can make them feel just so uncared for. And so many people have been so hurt by this that they've taken really drastic measures to stop it. And it's just so fucking wrong and tragic that they have to go to that point because of people being assholes and just not giving themselves a chance to just learn something new. So many people, because of that kind of stuff, because of the emotional pain of it all, have taken to self harm and even worse because people refuse to listen to them, refuse to use their proper pronouns or their chosen names. And it's such an easy fix. People act like it's this big deal, but they like watch movies where these actors go by different names all the time, and they memorize and get used to those names without trouble. So it's like, why can't you just adjust things here too? You just have to adjust your way of thinking. You just have to work on it. It's as simple as that. So yeah, yeah. Um, this is very serious. This is very important. But it's just not as heavy as like other stuff we've talked about, admittedly, like war and all. Um, but this is important. We need to make sure that we're there for these people. That when they come out, that we give them that love that they need, and that we show them that we're willing to listen, that we're willing to call them by the names they choose, by the pronouns that they go by. So, yeah, it's for me, like as a note, as an example, it has been hard to get it right every time. And I've made mistakes, I've messed up. I won't argue that. But I'm working at it. I'm always working at it. I'm always trying to make myself better in this situation so that one day I won't make these mistakes as much anymore. And that's all I can do. All I can do is work on it for the sake of everyone out there who goes by they, them. So, thank you so much for tuning in to another Ramble Rouser. And for now, tell me in the comments, do you know any people who use they, them pronouns? How hard has it maybe been for you to get used to using them uh, after being raised to use pretty much exclusively he, him, or she, her pronouns? Uh, Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.